Welcome to another DORKLAIR Collecting live stream. Today is a special off week episode. Typically, we go opposite weeks of the Legion's ladies. I know they might still be live, so there might still be some people over there that'll kind of come over to us when they finish up. But there has been a couple people that have been trying to get on the show, and the schedules really weren't. Well, first of all, one of the guests does Thursday streams too, so it was tricky to do that. But then also we got some good timing with the second guest. But let me bring in the first guest here. Welcome, Dom from DOMination.
You're so polite. It was all my fault that you're having to do this stream tonight. So you're very polite, Bill. Thank you for having me.
Well, I mean, once you invited me on your show, then we started talking about getting you on my show, and then like that's the reality of it. Like we were trying to schedule it, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So, Dom, welcome, and then we also have special guest Eric Miller in the DORKLAIR. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
So, we're gonna talk a couple things tonight. One, we're going to talk a little bit about tabletop gaming, which is a bit of an extension of last week, where we were talking about those Savage Crucible trading cards and the fact that the flip side is essentially a D&D character sheet. And Dom's video really stood out to me as one that had a lot of great insights. Actually, it was one of the best of the...
Get out of here.
No, I agree.
I'm telling you, a lot of people agree that it was one of the best of those preview videos that, the early look videos. Not only did you, like have a great look at the figure, but you also had just like immediate perfect insights about what was on the card, right? And the D&D stuff.
Oh man, thanks. Jeez.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that came out of. And then, so we'll talk a little bit about D&D. You'll share, I mean, you're, of all of us, you're probably the most involved currently in D&D right now.
You mean the most nerdy? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm ready.
And then Eric is also involved with Savage Crucible, in that Eric painted what we're going to say is this week's figure of the week. So the paint master for the Imperial Century was, did they give you a concept and then you painted it, or did they just give you free reign and you just were able to like pick your colors and all that?
Yeah, total free reign. So he just sent me the sculpts, and I was expecting like a character sheet or like a like a PMS color
Design
guide.
sheet,
Yeah, like, and he's like, nope, just do what you want.
That's awesome.
And
great.
Yeah, thank you. And the one thing he did tell me was this figure is going to be the like Kickstarter exclusive.
Oh, very cool.
So no pressure. No
yeah,
pressure
for sure. Yeah, exactly.
How many pictures on Google of lizards did you stare at in order to finally pick the pattern?
Many. Very many.
Yeah. It's ruined your algorithm forever, right?
Yeah. It's been a couple years at this. Well, year and 2 years close to. So yeah, there's been time for it to weed itself out.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a pretty deep dive into that specific figure a little later in the episode, but why don't we start off with any recent pickups? Dom, have you picked up any figures lately?
Yeah. So are you guys split 4-inch, 6-inch, 1/18, 1/6, or you just predominantly sit in one camp?
I'm mostly 6-inch,
okay,
but I do have some. My Star Wars, I do collect 6 scale, but I also collect 3 3/4. So I collect the vintage collection stuff, and then I do collect the boss fight, not like heavily, but like I have a decent little collection of the Vitruvian hack stuff.
All right.
And then some other little like retro figures, some carded stuff, but not heavily in the 3 3/4 stuff.
Well, Eric, you're 6-inch mostly too?
Yeah, mostly 6-inch. I actually don't really do any 3 3/4 at all, but I mean, I can respect it. I don't have any problem with it.
No, I love both. So because you're mostly on the larger scale, I'm going to go small with my pickups then. So for those who already saw the other guests I was on last week, there's nothing new here, but I'm a huge fan of Exo Squad. And so I got Nara Burns's E-frame here, and it's nifty diffy. If you're not familiar with, you guys know what Exo Squad is, right?
I remember it.
Mhm.
I don't
Otherwise, I'd have to
any,
leave. Okay, yeah. All right, good. I'm a huge Exo Squad fan, and ever since we did a show about a couple months ago, I've been slowly getting a few more here and there. So this is
Yeah.
number 5 for Never Burns, because I love it's just squat and it's got these fun wings there, and you can almost fit a G.I. Joe inside one of these. And like I don't know what it is, the cyberpunk colors too. So this is number 5, and no, I'm not insane. I don't just like hoard these things. If you've ever looked at my channel, like we play with our toys, I army build. So these are becoming like a squad of these, and they serve a purpose. So there's some methodology here. And then I also exo squatted out again, and I got Kaz Akagi's fighter, and I love this wacky chicken leg because it's got these little legs in here that can fold all the way up or down, right?
Mhm.
And it makes sense. Like if you're in a fighter, you want some sort, or in a carrier, you want VTOL, and these wings come out. And it reminds me of like the gosh, I'm gonna completely blank up the P-50s. I think they were from like the Avenger aircraft in the 40s, right? When they had them on the carriers, they could fold up the wings and you could stack more planes in there, right? So fun. It's just, I don't know, it's got all sorts of stuff, recoiling front rifles, and like the weirdest gimmick that I don't like about it, I just pretend it's not even there. It comes apart in half, like the leg part comes off, and then you've got this little mini fighter thing. Yeah, but it's also really weird, right? So like
I don't know, man. Like I just put myself in my kid brain.
Oh,
and
yes.
I think of how amazing that is as a toy. It's a fantastic toy.
Yeah, so good on you, first of all, because I had to retrain my brain in order to do that. And ever since I had kids, they gravitate to grapple hooks or any, like especially zip lines. Like my 6-year-old's like, oh, absolutely anything with ropes on it. He's like, Dad, we're playing with this over and over again. I'm like, man, those designers knew what they were doing. I'm the idiot. So
what was the toy line that was zip lines? It was like little ships on zip lines.
Oh,
what was that called? Late 80s, maybe 87.
There was the really weird aerator ones that had like the pump that you would like push them out, and they all had like orange or purple guys. But then there was the dudes, and I always get these two lines mixed up because I like that one more. There were the guys that actually had the zip lines that would get all tangled up. I think they were Air Commandos, Sky Raiders, one of those two. I don't remember.
Yeah,
pick a combination of word jumbles of like Commando, Raider,
right.
Soldier, and then Sky. So, oh, Brick, yeah, it is one of my favorites. Yes, it's really cool. Sorry, I saw Brick in the chat there.
So, anything else there, Dom?
No. The other things are 6-inch. So, like I got another multiple man, which is number 8 now because you need to have multiple mans. But the other stuff, it's good. I've hogged up enough time here. I just wanted to show off the 4-inch stuff. So,
all right, let's pull Eric over and see if Eric's got any recent pickups.
Sky Commanders. That was it.
Yeah, I didn't bring anything with me. I mean, I just got my Sentry today. So I'm pretty excited about him. I've picked up a few things recently, but not a lot. I grabbed some of the Target Holothon turtles. I got the Jack Kirby figure,
cool.
And I got the huge foot soldier, the one that they didn't release like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whenever that was. Other than that, I'm on a quest to get all of Wave 1 of Cosmic Legions in test shot form.
Oh wow,
so that's right.
I only have 2 more to go. So
what was your most recent one?
The most recent one was the Sphexian Block Commander that I got from Cullen Culp. He got it at a show for me.
Awesome.
That's ambitious. Are you getting them to paint them, or you want the raw ones on there? Okay. Huh.
Yep.
Is this strike because you paint and you're customizing too, so you just want to see it in its pure form? Like what is the appeal there to grab those? That's a big hunt.
Yeah, for sure. It's not easy. There's not many of them, but it's just the test shots. It's part of the toy production, and I think it's fascinating. Just the whole stage of production that you get the test shot. And I know obviously 4 Horsemen are producing those test shots. Like they're not the test shots that they reviewed. They're producing extras, but it's just kind of like another level of that collecting. And I really haven't been test shot crazy. But when that first wave of test shots went up for sale, I had a few friends help me, and I ended up getting 3. I had someone gift me one, which was like one of the most generous things anyone's ever done. And then I found one at a show when I was at MuskyCon in Michigan. like a month and a half ago now. And then it just occurred to me, like, I'm about halfway there,
Almost there, yeah.
Yeah. So I just like, I'm on a mission now to just get all of them.
That's cool. Cool.
By the way, we should mention the Mythic Enablers podcast. Rob Zamora clearly listens because the Critical High Five was on this last episode that came out a day or two ago.
Yeah, that was Monday's episode. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a piece of my history that I don't share that story with many people, but I figured that was the right time to share it.
Yeah, go check out that episode. It's fantastic.
We had a lot
I'm
of
actually
fun
not
with it.
done with it yet. I think I got like a half hour left. Or
It's
20 minutes
a
left.
long episode.
Yeah. For me, I'll pull myself over here. So obviously I got my Savage Crucible stuff. Like I was telling the guys earlier, like I only open one at a time as I'm doing the reviews just for my workflow. So I do have the Sentry open for tonight, and that'll be my next review. And I did do a review for Kamo of the Isles.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Thank you. And then O'Neill had a drop for some Glio stuff, and I picked up this guy, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there was this one, and this one I haven't opened yet. This is just the color.
I missed that drop. I wanted to get in on it, but I totally missed it.
And there was one other guy, but yeah, so I got that in hand.
Those are super fun. Do you mix and match them? Do you play Tinker and Widget with those?
Yeah, that's like the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the best part of it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, they even just right out of the package, this one alone comes with this head. It comes with this head here, you know, and it's got a bunch of different hands. Like I already had swapped out the hand for this like rifle arm.
Yeah, nice.
And so that's fun. Let me just grab what I dropped.
It's gone forever.
I know.
You never get that back.
I love that bright pink one.
Yeah, it's cool with the gray.
Yeah. I gotta crack that open.
I think his name is Gray Pinky Brain, guys, if I remember correctly. I think that's it.
I may mix, like that should mix and match really well with this one too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe put the arms on. And then I grabbed a bunch of these guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fun.
So these were $6 on Big Bad Toy Store. And I've seen just tons of people taking this cape and putting it on Legions.
Yeah.
So I grabbed 4 of these because I had a pile of loot that needed to ship, and then I was like, oh well, I might as well just add a few of these in there. I'm gonna add these capes to the bins for this year's Legions Con Pop and Swap session.
Awesome.
So that's pretty much it for me as well.
Man, you're like my wife, like Christmas shopping. She does that too. She's like, a Christmas gift. I'm like, I am so far from that. Like, you're already shopping for Legions Con. That's great.
I was shopping for that during the in-stock sale too. I was grabbing some figures
that's awesome
just to break down and have parts, because I feel bad because Len always is the one who like donates all the bins and the parts to it, and like I'm running this thing and it's all his stuff, so it's like I felt like I should contribute a little bit more to it. But it's been a great session. People have really enjoyed it. And Eric, you ran a session both years, right? This year and last year you did one, right? Yeah,
I did. This last year I did it with Dennis Derby. We kind of tag teamed it, and then the year before I did it on my own. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Painting sessions.
Awesome. And a little bit of news. I don't have any slideshows. I don't have any prep really.
Just mind's eye. Describe it to us. Yeah, just describe it. I'll close my eyes.
The tickets are 40% sold out at this point for Legions Con, which there's still a ton left, but I think people need to be aware that this year the venue is not growing. Like 2 years ago, it was a smaller venue, and then last year it was a bigger venue, and then this year it's the same size venue. Yet the audience is growing. So there's going to inevitably be a sellout. Who knows? Maybe it won't sell out too close to the show or whatever, but there's going to inevitably be a sellout, and people are going to miss the show because they didn't get tickets. So if you're, if you're thinking about going, grab a ticket or at least pay attention to the Legion's Con Instagram, so that you're kind of aware of like when that ticking timeline is going to end.
I think we'll hit a point in time where there's somewhat of a mad dash. Like everyone's going to remember, oh, that's just around the corner, and they're going to go get tickets, and then they're
It'll
just going
probably
to
be
sell out.
like September, October. They'll say, oh, it's 70% sold out, and then 2 days later they'll be like, it's gone.
Wow. So we've gone twice because we moved to in the DC area, right? So we make a family trip to go to New York. We spend like 2 or 3 days in New York, and then we spend the first Legion's Con. It was an hour, and the boys were done. I was like, oh my god! But the next time we went, I was able to pull them out. They made it like half the day, and like they were cruising all over the place. And like we love just associating that with like a big family trip. So like I just literally texted my wife, is like, get on those Legion tickets, like, so right now. So like we don't want to miss that. We tie so much around it. It's really, really great.
And Eric, you've brought your family at least one of the years, right?
Yeah, my wife came with me 2 years ago, and then we decided to make it a whole family thing this past year. So my kids were both there and playing with everyone else's kids, and it was awesome. So yeah, I've been encouraging people, if you have children and you're thinking about bringing them, you should bring them. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, I've tried to talk my daughter into it, and I'm hoping I still have a lot of time to talk her into this year, so I'm hoping she'll consider going with me.
Yeah, my kids are super excited, and I'm gonna bring them to the studio for just a real quick tour, this year. So they're already freaking out about that, but I think they're kind of imagining like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory,
exactly.
Like
they'll get there and be like, oh, okay.
Like manufactured on a line there.
This is the room with the elves in here where they assemble as always.
Yeah. Tiny little hammers.
Yeah.
Away. Let's check in with the chat here. So I'm going to start from the bottom up. So we got Brick Something in the house. We've got Johnny C. Dagger, Rick Jones, Rob Zamora, we heard from. Outer Multiverse.
Hey, what's up?
Karen is back again. What's up, dude? Let's see. Sath, Amateur Hour, Babylon Squared, Rick Jones, David Williams. We've been working on something, and that something is coming soon. David, that's coming soon. It's a little surprise for everybody, but it's coming. It's
exciting.
Soon.
I like the teaser.
Let's see here. Thomas, Rick Jones, Mark R, Task Force Figure Games.
Hey.
Playing with my... Hey, there you go. There's playing with my 375.
Hey.
Trevor's in the house. Cyber Rat. The First 58. TJ Williams. V-Dog. And I had a poll going. Let me check in on the poll. The poll was...
How tall
have
is
you
Dom?
ever played... Have you ever played a tabletop RPG? And we've got 52 votes, and it's currently 52% yes, 48% no. So pretty much split 50-50 right now.
Interesting.
For who has ever played a tabletop RPG, which is one of the topics tonight.
Just a shout out to Brick Something. He said in the chat, he did one of the figures. I think it was the Century. Yeah, Royal Guard. He does these cool shorts where he puts them on a little turnstile, puts some awesome music onto them, and he just poses them in different ways. They're really fun. Go if you guys don't see them, go check them out. Like they're really fun to like. Every time I'm entertained, I'm like, that was a perfect little review. You just zip and next, and it's always good music too. So
yeah, he's got some great stuff. And
also your intro is one of the favorite intros to any show. Like, is that you walking around with a torch?
I think that's like CG. So
no, it's not. No, that was you when you went to Europe and you actually lit it. You had this in your mind.
No, that was at Legion's Con last year at that tavern. That
there
was
you go.
That was the
Perfect.
back hall into the tavern.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, so that was Braku Prime does them. He did the one for the Four-ish Horsemen O'Clock show, like that intro.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so the music I've had for years, that is by someone named Luke Schreiber, who's been doing songs for me since back in my previous podcast back in 2015.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he just does amazing jingles. Like he even did the other one too, the more like bit tune kind of chip tune
Okay.
sounding
Yeah.
DORKLAIR one with the Roger in it.
Yeah.
And then he did some others, but yeah, so the song is from him, and then Braku did the video, and he said he got like all these files like free from the library. Like they're not
cool. Okay.
It's all like,
yeah,
you know, free use stuff, and he did just an incredible job on it.
You
We got to update it because Larry wants a new picture. And Chris is no longer on the show, so we gotta get it updated.
Don't change yours. You look just like Aragon from Lord of the Rings. That like spot on. I'm like that's Vigo. I know that guy. Like so, yeah. No, it's great. It's great. So I didn't mean to derail, but I just wanted to comment. Like it's really fun intro. So
that image was reuse from a thumbnail that I did when I think it was two years ago now, but for a it was like a prediction episode where I did like a recorded video trying to predict the G-Con figures 2 years ago.
Cool. Good reuse.
Yeah. But I love that intro so much. And I love that song. It's fantastic.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Tanya's here. They must have finished up. Sorry if I hope you didn't finish up early for me, but I appreciate you understanding that I had to go on tonight and step on your toes a little bit.
It's that Dom.
But that was a great episode. I stuck around for most of it. That was a great episode of the Legions ladies as well. Tried to get the kids into Dungeons and Dragons because I never was, and I'm afraid they will be technology numb. Yeah, that's a great point. Like, I actually tried to, like, I bought the starter set, and I tried to get my daughter and my 2 nephews playing a little bit up at our condo, like our ski condo. It didn't really catch, but I'm gonna give it another shot. And if I were a little more experienced as a DM, it would probably be a little easier. But
so for kids like 5e, sorry, we're not ready to transition this. I'll pin that when we talk about actual tabletop games. I'll come back.
I think we are pretty.
Oh, okay, great, perfect.
Start transitioning, right? Like we're gonna talk a little gaming today, and this is a perfect transition. I think. Go for it.
So first of all, so I have the the DMG here, and I've got the 5e, which is 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I don't like D&D as like 5e. I don't like Savage Crucible or action figures either. So I'm actually out of here. No, because so D&D it in its 5e form is actually very pure and very great compared to some of the other ones. Like if you're old guys like us, like 4 was just so clunky, and before that like 3 was a little hard too, and Pathfinder. So there's a lot of mechanics and a lot of stuff in there. And the main reason I don't love 5e is because you're the Avengers in 5e. You're superpowered. Everybody has magic. Even a barbarian, everybody's got magic, right? So, but that also makes things a little more clunky, and there's more things you have to know, and you have to add, and there's modifiers. So for kids who have to do math all day long in school, laying it down and showing them like here's how like making a character sheet could take an hour, right? So like that's kind of exhausting. So what I did for my kids, and this is so easy, right? It's the Lazy DM's Guide is a great Sly Flourish Lazy DM's Guide, great mix of lean on improvisation, but you've got a little bit of storytelling as well. So like this is kind of the story, but I lean on story, and you just ask the players questions all the time. You ask what, like, so for example, like Bill, you're I'm gonna guess you like a ranger character. I'm gonna guess. Is that your go-to?
Sure.
Okay,
no, it's not my go-to, but yeah. Sure.
What are you, a spellcaster?
I mean, I haven't played in
no.
Like,
years, what's your archetype?
Like,
I guess.
I think I tend to lean towards like just straight fighter types.
Are you? Oh man, high five! Yes, yes.
Yeah, like I like to be like a dwarf and just be like a fighter or something,
awesome.
or some other kind of thing,
So okay, so you're a dwarf fighter, and you're going down a trail, and you meet someone in the trail that blocks your path, and it takes your breath away, and you recognize this person. Who is it, and why do you suddenly reach towards your sword at your hip? And that's it. Like I didn't make, and then you fill in those blanks, and you're like, well, like whatever. What would you come up with? Actually, why am I talking for you? What would you come up with, Bill?
It's probably a goblin that I recognize or something like that.
Yeah.
If I'm reaching for my sword.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden the player has gone like, oh, I want to, like, you have just told me, well, I want to fight a goblins, or there's something inside you that says this is going to be a goblin by my character. So you're now invested in whatever's ahead in your path, right? So a way of DMing with kids is to just ask them questions. And even if they say it's a unicorn that's spitting rainbows into the trees and the leaves turn to monkeys, just go, because like that's what they're telling you they want to play. So a lot of times with my sons, we used to call it skeleton stories. I started when I was 2. I was like, you open the door and there's something scary outside. It's like, oh, it's a skeleton. I'm like, okay, then that's
Can
what's
I just
terrifying.
ask you a quick question?
Yeah, sorry.
What's the name of that? Was it a book, The Lazy Man's DM?
Yeah, it's hold on, I'll get it.
Because I want to add it to my Amazon cart or something.
It's really, so it's really thin. Sly Flourishes, and this is the return of the lazy dungeon master. And
Sly,
he hits all sorts of tricks and like how to run things. Like, it's a really great, and it's all like lazy. It's like, hey, reskin some stuff. If you want to make up your own monsters, use the goblin stats and call it a floblin, but you make everything else up. Flavor wise, except for the mechanics, right? So it's really cool. Fun, but a lot of improv in this too, like asking players questions, getting invoked in it. And honestly, like, I kind of started doing that with players, and then my sons now, like, that's how we play. It's harder to do with you actually have like physical characters, but we've done it without dice before too, where I'm just like, we just kind of move through it. So this is super fun. And someone said in the chat, like, at 14, this is great, and I would agree with that. At a younger age, man, go with OSR, which is old school revival, where you have 6 stats and 1 dice and just keep it so simple, like so simple. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I will say that starter set makes it fairly simple in terms of it's pre-made character. I think it's like 5 pre-made character sheets and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna buy this book and then give it another retry with the kids. Super and they're like creeping up. Like the oldest, my oldest nephew is, I think he's got to be 13, 12 or 13 now. So
I have 2 other recommends, right? So this dude, it's called Index Card RPG, and the idea is it's very conceptual combat. So like he draws like an index card and he lays it on the table, and so when your character on the table, you're like, well, I'm gonna go check the treasure. You just pick up the character, put it on the treasure chest, and that's where they are. There's no measurement of conceptual, and he uses a banana as like a rough guide. Like, well, if you need something, like, what's a banana on the table, right? So you move from things to things, right? And that already you're cutting down on crunch and angles and measuring. And I was like, oh man. And the guy who does it, Runehammer, is so eccentric and so fun. If you ever check out his YouTube channel, like, just this big, he chugs a stein of beer before he starts talking about his stuff. So, but he uses, we all play Zelda, and he uses the heart system that you're familiar with in Zelda, right? So you lose hearts as you get hit. And I was like, oh, that's so much easier than tracking hit points. Like, why am I carrying about 56 or 27 hit points, right?
And it's a good transition for kids who are that kind of stat visual thing is very natural to them because of all the video games they tend to play. Yeah,
it's super fun. So sorry, I didn't mean to hog everything up here. But yeah, Stranger Things help get fans, but also Critical Role. If you're like, you cannot dismiss how influential that group was to getting D&D up on the map too, especially 5e.
I was there was a group, God, this is to be it's got to be 10 years ago now. But I had a club at the school, and it was just a couple kids who showed up one day and were like, we want to start a D&D club.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, okay, we'll call it the Tabletop Gaming Club, and we'll see, you can play whatever games. Because I was like hoping some kids would want to play some Magic, because that's like my thing. But yeah, it just morphed into like, they were like dead set on D&D the whole time. So they were playing Pathfinder in my classroom. And like, I was always just so busy that I was just like, yeah, you can use this space and be here and play. And I wasn't really playing, but it was like, yeah, it was a while back, and it was really nice to see kids, teens into that stuff. Because it was not on anybody's radar back then.
Right.
Really. Eric, so you've had some history playing some D&D, right?
Just a little bit. Yeah. When I used to work at Toys R Us a long time ago.
Oh, nice.
Oh, sorry. there was me and a group of 3 other guys that I worked with at Toys R Us, and every once in a while after work we would get together and play. And it was one of those things, like on The Office when they say like you wish you knew you were in the good old days before you'd actually left them. It was
Right.
kind of one of those things. It's like I really appreciate the time I had with those guys. I don't really get to see or talk to them anymore, but I think about the times we played D&D, and it was just a lot of fun. That's good memories.
Yeah, I have a similar thing where it was about college into maybe like this, like second half of college through a couple years after college, maybe like a 4-year span where my crew were playing a lot of D&D. And it started like on campus playing, and then eventually like we were just getting together and like having some beers and playing D&D. And I actually still have my books.
Look at that.
And I still have some character sheets in here. We were handwriting them. And this one, it's funny because this is like my friend's character sheet, but I have this character sheet that I thought Eric would like. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but that is a Minotaur character.
Nice. Yeah, probably very similar to mine.
Yeah, it was a Minotaur barbarian, and I went like Star Trek themed. I named him Kempek after Kempek, the Chancellor of Klingon, like the High Chancellor or whatever. And he carried. So my DM would like make up weapons, and so he had a Botleth as a weapon, like the Klingon weapon, and he made up stats for that and stuff. But yeah, so it's fun to look back at these old sheets.
Yeah, that's really cool. I don't think I have anything left over from my days playing.
Yeah, I didn't play as much when I was younger, ironically, right? I was a horrible nerd, but I thought Magic and D&D were still beneath me. As nerdy as I was, like, no, not those two things, right? But if I knew what D&D actually was, right? If I had like experienced to play it, I would have gone so deep into it, right? Because like we were already doing other stuff like that. We just didn't call it D&D, and I'm like, oh man, I missed out on all those editions. So I caught up to it way late in the game, and it wasn't until I finally like got over myself that I was like, oh my god, like what have I been missing for decades, right? Maybe it was a good thing. I don't know. Like maybe it was a good thing, but yeah, super fun. And it's an engine for storytelling, right? And you add a few randomizers in there is really what it is too. And yeah, Critical Role has done so much. And when people fear technology, right? Like my kids, we have a Switch, and they have an iPad too, but like we spend time, we call it in the basement, right? Because that's where the toy room is, right? So we spend time on our hands and knees playing with figures, but they also go outside and like find lizards. Like there's a balance in this stuff too, right? And I think storytelling at its core, if you get kids' imagination engaged in one way or another, like you can, but you have to be careful. And this is my warning with like anyone who's like G.I. Joe. So I'm a huge, like a lot of G.I. Joe fans, right? And they're like, oh, we got to get kids into G.I. Joe. I'm like, no, let it go, man. Like they don't care about Snake Eyes like you do. They never will, right? Like my son loves Meowskulls from Fortnite. Like that's his thing. And I don't care because he loves it just as much as I loved Dusty back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
My daughter has her LOL dolls.
Oh yeah, see, yeah.
It's like the exact same play mode as it was for me with my GI Joes. Like she's got like a couple random things. Like she has this Playmobil castle, which is a phenomenal toy. It's like this amazing like princess style castle from Playmobil. And then she has all her LOL dolls, and it's just storytelling, like her sitting with her toys, like by herself, just telling stories and playing. And it's exactly how I was with my GI Joes when I was a kid.
And in 30 years, she'll have a podcast where she talks about it to be LOL themed and all the other Kickstarters that are coming out that are like that. So yeah, it'd be great.
Right. Yeah. Remember those LOL dolls? We're doing a Kickstarter. We're starting it back up. We're coming back. I actually don't think, I think because there's like there's a gap for us, like from when we were kids, and then there's like a gap as you grow up. But like for this generation, or we're kind of getting into multiple generations now of internet kids. It's like I feel like there's never going to be that like gap that like you look back at the thing as nostalgic, because it's like everything is ever present. When
You're
you're
in
on the
touch
internet,
with,
you
yeah,
know?
you always. So I'm hogging the spot. I'm going to shut up and let Eric talk. I'm sorry, man. Like,
No, you're totally fine, man.
no,
Totally fine.
you're way more talented than me. So you obviously need to be talking a lot more too, right? So,
No, I mean, we're talking about tabletop games and stuff, and I played a bit, like 10, 15 years ago, but you definitely know a lot more about this. So I'm just here to kind of hang out and listen.
if you come over to my house right now, I have a setup on my table that's for 4-inch scale right now. So if you ever want to come play, I made a game that you can actually use for any scale or any figures. It's agnostic to any brand. So super fun. And that's like the recent thing is like, I didn't want to go back and buy all these minis. I'm like, I've got toys. Maybe I could use dice with toys. So like, I never really stopped. I just changed what I was using. Right. So, yeah. And the chat here is blowing up too with like Hero Quest and Hero Clicks and Hero Escape. Yeah. I have all of those. Hero Escape, I have not let go. All the rest I sold, but Hero Escape is so good. So fun. I don't remember what I was saying before that.
You were talking about your game. Why don't you just describe it a little more? Like you created a game.
Yeah. So I'm going to Joe Fest this summer, and we're actually gonna. I rented a booth, or I got one of the vendors' booths, and they're like, "Are you selling toys?" I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna sit there and like harass people with a mic." But then they were like, "Well, why don't you actually play your game at the Joe Fest?" I was like, "Oh, that's genius! I should probably not just waste my time and actually do that." So it's a 5-on-5 skirmish kill team game, and you can play with 4-inch, 6-inch. You can play with minifigures. It's brand agnostic, so you can just pick up whatever toys you have lying around. You can have Leonardo fight against this dude, against the Mythic Legions, against the Marvel Legends if you wanted to, and like mix your teams together. And the idea is that you can have, there's different type of architects, and you can kind of, there's some drop down menus, so to speak, where you can pick and choose your abilities, and then you just go. And it's really brutal. It's very fast, and it's player versus player. But there's also a rule book that has a solo mode in it. That's very RPG light. It's very, very minor. So your characters, as they go through the pre-written scenarios, they can actually level up. And in between the scenarios, there's a downtime, right? Which is optional. And you can like do little side quests in there that are, go to the back of the book. Like if you solve this, go to page 45 to, see your destiny. And there's only 5 scenarios in there. But the idea is that you can just pick up and play. All you need is some D6s. And we've had a lot of fun with it. So, and a lot of the community is so fun.
Do you is this a physical book that you've
so we
published or printed, or what is it?
Yeah, so we are where we are. So thanks to Patreon, we're able to help fund an artist. Ewert at Strident is his IG. Phenomenal, great work. And I kind of gave him a lot of free reins. I'm like, hey man, I want a cyberpunk tank looking dude who, has an aggressive whatever. And he drafted something. I was like, that's awesome, man. So we're putting his art into there. My best friend Joe and co-host is actually doing the design, the layouts for the book. And then once we've finally gotten the design and the aesthetics of like how it's laid out, we're going to start allowing Patreon members to have like a custom character card. So you send in what you want. We give you like, here's much similar to this, but it's your character, right? With your stats, and you picked it out or whatever. Yeah. And I think we'll be able to actually take your toy picture and put it in there too. We're playing with the layouts. And then by Joe Fist, the idea is that you should be able to QR code to either buy a physical book or a digital copy. So we're trying to get there. Neither Joe and I have actually, produced something this way before. So I'm sure there's gonna be a hiccup. At the very least, to be able to test that Joe Fest and have a book following that. So yeah.
It sounds incredible.
Thanks, man. It's really fun. Like honestly, and like Heroescape was a big influence. Someone dropped that in there too. If you play Heroescape, you can stack a lot of things, and like by stack I mean mechanical stacking. And I kind of built this game like it too. So if you have a figure. And you equip them with a sword. This sword isn't just for show. Like it actually has a thing, and you can drop it, or you lose your armor, and you pick up stuff in the map. And so the things you get to customize your figure with have impacts in the game. So, so yeah, and then you want to stack those as best you can with your abilities. So yeah.
That's like combos in Magic the Gathering.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Man, again, Magic was one of those things too. I was like, look at those nerds. But I got schooled last summer by my other good buddy's 13-year-old. And I was like, man, I wish I had understood this game when I was younger, because I feel like I'm just getting crushed right now. But this looks super fun. And the art is so cool. That's so gorgeous.
I think that's one of the reasons why it's funny. Like Magic dominated everything in my collecting world and gaming world for many, many years. And it's one of the reasons why it took me so long to get into figures. I had always been, I was a collector as a kid, pick up a figure here and there, but like I never really got heavy into collecting as an adult until I had a kid and I couldn't play Magic regularly anymore.
Right.
It's also the reason why, like, my crew, we played Magic and we played D&D, but I think there's something about the quickness of it and like the get-togethers and like the way just the whole thing rolls out that Magic kind of took over, and like that, yeah. So I probably would have played a lot more D&D, in those like early adult years had I not been playing Magic the Gathering. But I love it, and if anybody's ever interested in learning Magic, the best way to learn Magic is to download Magic Arena, and you can totally play for free. I've been playing for years, and I haven't spent $1, and it's a great way to learn the game and to just keep playing and playing quote unquote competitively. So yeah, it's a great way.
That's awesome.
But anyway, kind of going back to last week and the cards, I thought you could. Well, first of all, Eric and I are going to each open one of these Savage Crucible trading cards. We're going to open them, and then you can tell us about just kind of tell us about the stats. And like, there's some questions I have because like I said, I was playing first edition Dungeons, AD&D, like was what I was playing back in the day. So
I will try my best. And if anyone in the chat, if I get it wrong, just don't say anything. Just let me have it. My ego is very fragile.
Just let them have it.
Yeah.
I was so impressed when I saw your Savage Crucible review. I mean, the review itself was just so entertaining and so well done. But then when you took the time at the end to break down the stats on the card, I was like, this is amazing. Like, this guy knows this stuff, and this is exactly what this card was made for, was people like him to latch onto it and, really kind of get into it. I thought it was really cool and really kind of encouraging from the standpoint of like someone who helped create Savage Crucible to kind of see it turning into like this thing, it's really interesting.
You guys should be super proud of this line, by the way. Like I've talked to several individuals who are part of this, and like, it must be amazing to be able to see something that you poured over in your hands in a tangible form. Like, oh my God, this was a sketch or an idea, or this was a Zoom call. Like, does anyone use Zoom anymore? Right. So like, this was just all this was, and here it is in my hands. Like, you must be really proud.
It's incredibly surreal. And of the Savage Crucible team, like I admittedly am probably the one who contributed the least to the line. But everyone that worked on the line, I consider to be a close friend of mine, most of them close friends, if not, acquaintances that I've got to meet at shows or whatever. And I'm really proud of them too. Awesome. I mean, it just came out better than anyone ever imagined. And I knew we could, but it's interesting. This is the first thing professionally that I've ever done. I've done a few things since this, but this is the first one I've gotten in hand. And it just kind of feels like I made a custom figure and somehow like hundreds of people.
And everyone's got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like
that's cool.
It's really interesting.
But I mean, your customs are in high demand, so this is a very good situation.
It's cool. And it is kind of interesting that my figure ended up being like the one that's kind of harder to find too.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I've had people ask me like how they can get it, and I'm like, you have to make an effort to get this figure. Yeah. But
so I opened my card.
I'm trying to open mine quietly, but it's
like opening chips. Just rip it open.
Yeah.
They don't like. I had to cut mine open. I couldn't finger open it like a pack of cards.
Oh, you have a Lemurian Savage. I didn't notice. Mine's the Draconic.
You have the Draconian.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I got the same one. It's like the variant, right?
So you got the Draconic as well.
Yeah, it's the Crested Savage as well.
Oh, you got the Crested, right?
Cool. Interesting.
And then there's the Hooded Savage. So it's funny, we all had Savages.
Yeah.
There's 4, and so the cards, like I mentioned last week, they represent the different heads. So this is the figure. Yeah. This is the Lemurian Savage. You get that in the box. Mm-hmm. That's the That's the like higher tier builder
You
figure. That's
you
like,
predicted that too, and I was like, no, there's no way they're going to do one for the head pack, each of the head packs. And you're like, I'm pretty sure, and here it is. I was completely
well, I
wrong.
saw the
So.
pattern pretty quickly because the numbers really helped me solve everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
With your decoder
realizing that this was a 1 through 15 and there was nothing popping up that was higher than 15. I was like, okay, there's 15, and then here's how many there's left. But yeah, so there's 3 different heads among the 2 heads packs. This is the regular figure. This is the regular Lemurian Savage. And then the cards you have represent alternate looks that you can make from the 2 of the other heads. And then there's a 3rd head, which is the Hooded Savage. But yeah. So Dom, walk us through the card. I mean, the main thing I recognize is the stats, the strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, like some of the things like the challenge points or whatever. And like there's things that I don't understand.
Yeah. So do you want me to go? Do you want Eric to open his up? Would you?
Oh yeah. Eric just did, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm an idiot, man. I thought that was the one you had in hand. And then, okay. Yeah. It's your show. I should just listen to the host and what he's telling you to do. Right. Yeah. So at the top, the thing in my video that I point out too was like at the very top there, you've got that like that lawful neutral or lawful evil. And I was like, oh, that's so cool that they included that because that's the alignment. And like, you don't have to play by alignment, but it's kind of like a good guideline of how that character is going to act, right? Or in this case, like these aren't monsters per se, but these aren't like a named character, right? This is just a sentry, a guard, a town watchman is what these are, right? So, which is awesome. And I got Nin, but I don't have Nin's card. So I really wish like that was the only thing where I was like, I wish this wasn't randomized because when I'm talking about Nin, I want to know the character as well. That would, that's the only thing, but I love the random.
So I think, let me interject with a little bit of rarity talk here and how hard it's going to be to get these. I think, so the foils are looking to be about 1 in every 7 or 8 packs right now. So like maybe possibly like 1 per all in roughly. There'll be all ins without any foils or whatever, but like the foils are going to be tough. They're going to be really tough to collect. So that means, people will be opening these packs and there will be an overabundance of the non-foils. So I don't think I mean, some of the non-foils might be pretty rare, but like, I think you'll be able to get all of the characters pretty easily. Like I feel like people will just be like, commons here, have a, I need this, I need this, and trading freely without really too much problems. So that side of it, I think, you'll be able to get the characters, because I do know that some people are like, oh, I wish it came with the character card that's for the character, but should be pretty easy to get all those.
But I like the randomness because it forces, so I don't know behind the screen, right? If this was just like serendipitous, so like, oh my God, people are going to have to talk and trade. We're forcing our community to interact and like swap stuff like that. Or if it's just like, happy accident, right? But no, I like the surprise. I like being able to pop that open and not a guarantee, because just like the technology at your fingertips and nostalgia at your fingertips, being able to have what you want immediately is also a thing. So the fact it wasn't Nin made me go, we're not gonna go get Nin. Like that is that's a good thing to have with your customer base, right? Or your fans, I mean. So yeah, I liked the randomness. But yeah, so the lawful evil, I love. So what this is, by the way, is it even has Wizards of the Coast licensing at the bottom here. And if you go to D&D cards or any homebrew stuff, they do follow this type of template, right? So I have a Pinterest board full when I DM'd of all sorts of stuff that followed this format. So it's very 5e, and it looks, if I can find, I'm not going to bother looking the book, but it also looks very similar to the 5e style, right? So they tried to match for Wizards of the Coast style here. So this immediate template follows that same style too. So by the fact that I was surprised by it, I'm not, but I love that they stayed so close to the actual D&D layout. So, and then you've got all your stats in there too. So the AC is armor class, right? So that's how hard it is to hit you. And then the parentheses there, when it's after the 16, and I really love that that 5e does this as much as I crap on it, is that it tells you why it is that hard to hit. So 16 out of 20, that's pretty significant, right? Don't quote me on probability, but I think it's 1 million. And so with you got to catch those like dumb jokes, right? So this one on my Imperial Century says mail and shield, right? So that's why that character is so hard to hit, is because it's got a shield and it's wearing hard hit. So if you roll a 15, your sword may have just glanced off its mail or blocked and batted away with its shield, right? So you have the potential of like, can I strip its shield out of its hand? Like, okay, and then its AC could drop down potentially, right? Which is cool. What's your AC on your characters there?
The Lemurian Savage has an 11.
Ooh, yeah, fodder.
Yeah.
Mine is a 15, so it's a little bit higher.
Oh, nice. And what does it say? Does it say anything after the parentheses there?
So I'm looking at AC, right?
Yeah. It's up there.
It just says 15, and then HP says 32.
Okay, all right. So it's just 15. So that's
it's got parentheses on the HP. But
I was hoping these little lithe, skinny dudes with no armor on there, if they had a high AC, it would be like agility, or like, you know, they're fast or something like that too, right? Some targets will say small, and that's why they're so hard to hit, is because they're tiny and you're like swinging around trying to hit these, you know, flies with a hammer, so to speak. So the AC is like one way to kind of calculate how hard this character is going to be for you to fight. The higher the AC, the obviously more you're going to miss, and usually players don't like missing in games very much. So and then, you know, below your 6 stats there, that is your standard like D&D stats there, from strength all the way to charisma. And in the monsters guide, so I actually made that video. I was like, I probably should have like looked at the monster manual while I was actually, the DM's guide, while I was actually talking that nonsense. But in the back on the page 274, it actually breaks down like exactly how you figure out to make your own monster, and then how you come up with the CR, how you come up with the AC and all that stuff too. So I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't totally off base here. So the CR is how tough your monster is, right? So like you take all those stats, you take how hard is the hit, you take its like attacks and all that stuff, and you go, okay, well, this based on all these kind of numbers, it's going to be a level 5. Like this monster is like a level 5 toughness, right? So if you have a party of 5 characters and all level 3s, and you throw in a couple level 5s, you're like, okay, this could be, I could avoid a TPK here by doing this. I could avoid a total party kill, or who knows, maybe it's just terrible dice rolls that night and you just slaughtered your party from 3 level 5 encounters, right? But the CR is a rough guideline. And even I think Jeremy Crawford was like, hey, CR is not, it's not the stamp. It is like, you can guess that it's this hard because they did a good amount of calculus, but you know, the dice will speak for themselves, right? So that's the CR that I talked about in the video.
Is challenge rating? Is that what that
is?
is?
The challenge rating. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
then
when this says 1/2, is that a half point challenge rating?
That's
okay.
so bad. Yeah. Well, because he's got an 11, right, for his AC.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got like probably like no stats on it, and probably no abilities or multi actions or any of that stuff, right?
No.
Yeah.
Right.
And what? Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying, right. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So like correct. You got like a bare bones goblin level encounter there, or a Knoll level encounter where the hero can just wade through those dudes. So that's what like a half is. So, which is fun. Like you want those because you want to feel like Lord of the Rings, where you're just swathing through the Uruk-hai, right? So, which I hated that they dismissed Uruk-hai so easily, because those guys are my favorite. But anyways, so then if you go down, let's see, what will you tell me what else is on your card here? So it's not just me talking the whole time. What else you got?
All right. So yeah, I mean, besides the typical stuff, right? Like savings, throw skills, so he's got some actions. He can multi-attack, he can bite.
That's I love they did that.
He's got the spiked bone sword.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a tail lash and a tail sweep.
So those are that I love this too. So this is very hold on, let me see. So like, for example, if you actually equip your character with the weapon, right? Like this is, the card is telling you like, hey, if it uses this tool, this is what it'll be able to do with that, right? It has a proficiency in this weapon. So as you're going through the equipment packs and you're arming up your dudes, you're matching it to what they could actually wield out there. So the way 5e works is you have actions, bonus actions, and attacks of opportunity, right? So opportunity, right? Or reaction, sorry. And so like all the actions are things that this thing can do on its turn, right? Low challenge rating, has multi-attack. Yeah, it is, right? But like if it can't swing for crap, then you know, big deal, right? So like makes 2 melee attacks, but there's no bonus to that multi-attack. But here for the bite, for example, +4 to hit. So it's going to roll a d20 and it gets +4 when it tries to bite onto you, right? So, and it even specifies like the multi-tag, what it can do. It's like it can make 1 with its spiked bone sword and 1 with either a bite or a tail lash. So it is dictating which one of those it can do, right? So, and again, these aren't like players. These have to be a little nerfed down because you don't want to go head to head with an equivalent, right? So they are a little bit lowered, but that makes sense because these are just what is this, challenge rating 2 for mine, right? Yeah, and then what, so I'm trying to look what I noticed, and again, these are just really common dudes. There are no spells on any of these, so it is all just physical attacks. And I know you might be saying like, well, yeah, these are just fighters, but in 5e, everything has magic. Like a fighter has magic, a ranger, everybody's got magic on there, whether you call it that or not. It is magic, right? It's not just extra talents, right? So I thought that was interesting that so far there's no spells baked into these. But again, these are like very low level, and I haven't seen an actual character. I haven't seen Nin's card yet, so.
I have Nin's card. I can pull it up.
Oh, fancy. Oh, fancy. I want. Is he lawful evil? Is he lawful evil or is he chaotic evil? What evil is he?
These are different, by the way. So mine is any alignment. What are yours? What are you two guys?
What are we looking at?
At the top?
At the very top, it's alignment. It might say lawful, neutral, or
yeah. Mine says any lawful.
Oh wow,
any
that's
lawful.
really cool. What is your character that you read it off of?
The crested
on
savage.
Mine? Yeah, the crested savage.
Any lawful. That's interesting. Does he have a draconic oath in the middle there? Should be like somewhere right about in the middle here, the middle paragraph. No,
probably
no.
just because it's. I think they're like almost like different races, like the draconics, and then there's like the draconic core, like so the imperial. No, the where is it?
Yeah, he does.
The Royal
he
Guard has the.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Eric. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, mine says he has the call of the crested. It says that he's got.
Cool.
It says has advantage on charisma, in parentheses persuasion checks versus other Lemurians.
Oh, interesting. Very cool.
So I don't know if you can zoom in on this because I can't zoom it for you, but there's Nin Villemier's. So he is neutral evil.
Neutral evil. Man,
he has an AC of 17.
Yes.
Half plate. 143 hit points. He's let's see, challenge 9. Ancestral T. That's another card. Is the Ancestral T carries 1d2 plus 1 drafts, grants 2d6 temporary hit points, and inflicts 1d6 plus 1d6 additional damage on unarmed bite attacks.
That's awesome. So this guy, so 143 hit points. Yeah. So this guy is a lieutenant or a mini boss, right? Like that's what he's not the BBEG to end the campaign, but this is something that your players got to work up to. And once they beat this guy, it's the end of the first book. You know what I mean? Like a level, depending on where you start out at. Usually players don't like starting at level 1, but I love level 1. It's just, you're so weak sauce. You know what I mean? Like a sneeze will kill you. Yeah. Oh, and I love the neutral evil. Like that's so cool. Or any alignment. So here's the thing, right? So this was a while ago. So I've been following Mythic Legion since the first Kickstarter, right? So like people complain like, oh, there's no lore. Like, oh, there's no lore. I was like, well, there is. And it's the same thing with Strategy for Crucible right now. Like I haven't read the comics, but every time I read one of these cards, you're soaking in the lore. If you actually look what it says, right? So it's lawful evil and there's an oath. And if they follow these people, like I think on the one I had, it's like I don't remember the Cthulhu-esque character, the Mind Flayer character, but it's like only these guys can, they swear the oath to them. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You just connected 2 characters. And to further nerd out here, hold on, I got to do this here. When I was a wee lad, I loved Marvel Legends trading cards, and I still do. I have all of them up to this date, but I didn't have all the comic books. But when you read a back of a Venom card and he says he inherited the black suit from Spider-Man, you're like, what? And you connected those two things within the Marvel universe. That's what they're doing these cards. If you read all these things, and that I absolutely love this. Like, you're building the lore piece by piece and not just exposition, dumping onto people all at once. So Hairbrain of the Abyss. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Nikki. Hey, what's up?
What's up, Nikki?
So these fascinate me because, like, yes, there are mechanics in here too, but the fact that you pointed out too, like, I think there's different races. Like, there could be even different factions within a race, right? Like, maybe some of these dudes, because they're any alignment, they're just like trying to live. They're just like, dude, leave me alone. Like, I'll do whatever you want. Let me farm on my field. I'm just a dumb serf. I've got a bone sword, for God's sakes, like made of teeth to protect me. Like, there's so much in there that's just, it's like, I love it. And one of the creators, and I can't remember his name, I'm so sorry. He said that, like, every weapon needs a name, right? So when you actually have weapons come out that have names, I'm like, oh, this is what you're talking about, right? The hero sword or the villain's weapons, or like you've got here the ancestral. Yeah, there you go. Yep. Yeah, great, right? Those are unique. Those have significance, not just some common item lying around. So there's your lore too. Like, why is this an artifact in this world? Why are these unique? Also, my son pointed out, I love this kid, that the hilts are different. He was like, oh, Dad, this is a flathead, this is a pointed head, and this one's a bearded lizard. I'm like, oh my God, the hilts are totally different on the three different blades. I'm like, good job, kids. So yeah, really cool. But this is the lore. Yeah,
I love this sword. This is Komo's sword. It's awesome.
Now, do you have Komo's card?
No, yeah, on here somewhere.
Is he good? Because everyone kind of leans to him being the protagonist type.
So Komo,
I think that says good up there. Yeah, I think.
What did I just do?
You ended the stream. We're off.
No, I didn't end the stream.
Oh my God!
I removed it.
Oh no! There you are. We can still see you.
Okay.
Bill, don't go anywhere.
All
yeah.
right.
Okay.
No, I couldn't. I had a black screen for a second there. I don't know what the heck.
Oh wow!
I clicked the wrong thing. Okay. Komo. Oh crap! I only have one, and it's blurry.
It looks hard to read.
It's all right. Well, the mystery lives on. Then everyone is leaning to him.
Somebody in the chat, go to the Savage Crucible Facebook page and find somebody's posted Komo's. This is early day.
I did not mean to derail
photos.
This. Like,
somebody has the Komo one. But let's see. I want to say he was good. I want to say he's good.
Yeah, I think so. People seem to be leaning that way too, and they referred to him as like the hybrid face, and it's very. And don't take this as
chaotic good. Can you? I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Good.
Okay, there you go. Chaotic good, right? So that is Han Solo is chaotic good, right? So
right. Yeah.
Well, is he chaotic good? Or is he chaotic neutral? No, he's chaotic good because he's messy. He shoots first, but it ends up coming at the end of the day and saving the Death Star.
He comes back.
Luke. Yep. Yeah. So spoilers for that movie if anyone's. But therein is the lore, and some of my favorite movies, like Interstellar. Interstellar starts off, you have no idea what's going on. Why is an Indian drone flying and crashing into a cornfield? Why is there only corn everywhere? What decade is this in? I love when writers just give you stuff and you have to put it together and you're forced to work the brain and like start making connections. And like, Bill, I think that you'll crack the codes before anybody else with the way you sleuthed out these cards. But this is the lore baked in the stats here, and I love it, much like the Marvel trading cards. So
and it tells you about it tells you who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Like it tells you all that stuff right in the stats.
Kind of have to work for it,
It's good. Oh yeah,
it's cool. I appreciate it.
It sinks in more.
Yeah,
when you have to work for it. Like any kind of learning experience, that's a thing.
I'm into it.
Yep. I will ignore it all later on and forget all these characters' names, like because again, like my boys and I play with these things. Like we've got this mixed bag of like I don't even remember Thistlethorn. We don't even call him Thistlethorn anymore, but that's like Finn's go-to character now, right?
What do you call him?
Does he have a name? At one time he was called Nuts, and it's because they have a stuffy of a squirrel that they call Nuts, and so he was like, oh, it's like Nuts, but he's a form. I'm like, fine, dude, we're gonna go with it now. But recently it actually changed to Luke. I'm like, okay, he's Luke. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tell you otherwise. So that is Luke running around right now. So sure, we'll go with it.
Nice.
Yep.
Luke the Fuzz Monk.
Yeah.
Let's shift over to
oh yes, of course.
Talking about the figures themselves here. So this is the Imperial Sentry. I'm going to pull it up one more time just to get a little bit of lore here from the card itself.
Well,
so
I'll read
pull
along.
this back up, and I think it was like one of the first ones, right? Draconic Sentry. Do I have multiples? That one looks better. All right, so So lawful neutral, Imperial Sentry, medium humanoid. Looks like an AC of 16. It's hard. It's a little blurry here, but yeah. So
by the way, Imperial and Draconic, I'm going to assume it's not races. I'm going to assume it is factions, because Imperial is obviously like that is a way you organize your government, right? So it is, and Draconic, I'm going to guess, is going to be a sub faction to that. So
I think Draconic is referencing a race in some way because of the multiple Draconics. So like there's the Draconic Guard, right? And you have the Draconic Savage.
Yep. And they have, but they have Draconic. Here's my pushback. They have Draconic armor, which would, I think it is a faction. So like I am an Imperial Sentry. I'm in the Imperial Army, right? I follow the Emperor, or I follow the leader, right? But if I'm another faction, we are the Draconics. I have a Draconic oath, right? So I think it is to a faction. I have an Imperial oath, and I have my Draconic oath. So I think that's what it is. It's not race. It's more of alignment. So that's my guess.
Somebody said, ask Nikki to join in. Nikki, if you want to join in, let me know. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
The other thing, but the other part of that is like, you'd think different factions would like have like, so why does the Draconic faction wear the same armor as the Imperial faction?
Ooh, that's a good point.
And then over here, the Draconic something else, right? Like, I don't know.
That's a good point. No, aesthetics matter, right?
Yeah. And like the hoodeds, they are like the same kind of heads. And then like the Draconics have like the, sort of dragon type heads.
Yeah. Interesting.
Saurians. I think the Draconics. Well, I mean, actually,
so they're all Saurian, right? They're all Saurian.
Not all of them.
Oh,
but
really?
All the Draconics are.
Oh, well, my Imperial
Lemurians. So this is a Lemurian, right?
Oh, you're right.
What does the Draconic Savage say?
It says Lemurian. You're right.
Okay, so you're right, because.
Oh wait, no. Here, Draconic Guard, Saurian. There's no system here. It's all
Draconic
nonsense. They just randomized it.
That's right. The Draconic Guard is Saurian.
Yeah.
And the Draconic
Savage is Lemurian.
Yeah. Okay. So they're not the same race.
So different races. So I think it's faction there. Okay, man. Yeah. Good catch though. With catching I didn't even see that. That's an awesome. Oh, this has been a fun discussion. Oh man, where are my glasses?
Yeah,
Hold on.
I love this stuff.
Get this back out. Here we go. All right. Yes.
I'm having fun just following along.
And then the languages are a giveaway too, right? So they speak Common, which in 5e is just like everybody speaks that. But I also saw that one of them speaks Thieves' Cant, which is awesome. That is straight 5e. Thieves' Cant is a subtle dialect where I would tell you like, oh, Bill, the ice cream is melting on the fence. But really what I said was, go pickpocket this dude. He's not paying attention, right? So like Thieves' Cant is like this jumbled code. Yeah. But they also have Draconic, which is a Saurian dialect. And I was like, oh man, like they got a lot there. It's baked in. It's great.
Cool. All right, so let's see. Did Nikki want to? Thanks. Getting ready to get to bed. Okay, yeah. So rain check. Yeah, Nikki, come on. Maybe I'll have you on next week if you wanna hop on with us. I don't know if it's gonna be like Savage heavy next week, but yeah, we'll talk. All right, let me get this down. And yeah, so let's start with Eric. You painted the paint master for this figure. You've got it in hand. How do you feel? What do you think of this thing?
I'm absolutely in love with it. It's so cool, like a couple of years ago, this thing was on my workbench and now it's out there and it's in people's hands. I feel like I'm like like a musical artist and I just released a record, it's
Right.
it's like it's out there and whatever happens with it happens with it. But the reception seems to be very positive, and I can see why. I just got one in hand today, so I've just been messing with it, and there's a lot of pride that I'm feeling, and I'm feeling very happy for the rest of the Savage Crucible team. I know how much of a group effort it was, and I know how much they all put into it, and I'm just really overwhelmed with joy for everyone involved. It's so cool.
Yeah. And you guys should be proud. It's a really great line. Like, no kidding. I don't do reviews on figures that I like poo-poo. So I was like, well, I absolutely love Nin. Like, I love Nin, right? Sorry to your figure here, but like,
no,
Nin,
you're great.
He's so just Skeksis from
Yeah,
Dark Crystal,
absolutely.
like, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah,
but then we got this guy, and I was like, wait, I know that lizard too. Like, man, like I really have felt a resurge from action figure collecting with these lines. So yeah, you guys should be proud. Really cool.
Somebody commented on last week's video, and they had like their list. They're like, I got 3 issues with this line. 1, 2, 3, and like they listed them all out. And one of the things was Nin looks like a Muppet Skeksis, and I was like, I responded with my 3 responses to the 3, 1, 2, 3, and I was like, 2. Mm-hmm. Is that a bad thing, or like,
yeah, no?
Why is that a bad thing?
I mean, you guys can see here, like I've got a Labyrinth poster here in my living room. It's my favorite movie of all time. So if awesome. You tell me that something looks like a Muppet dragon or whatever, my first response is going to be, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Show it to me. I want it.
All kidding aside, I think he looks like a gaunt dinosaur. Like, he looks like he's hungry. He's like, he's not fat. He's lean. Yeah. He's, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, like, and that's the thing that speaks to the line to your character as well, is like the character that's implied by looking at it. You're like, oh, I know what this character is about just from looking at you, and I don't want to get in a fight with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that speaks a lot to a figure. So yeah, really cool.
Nin, the one you were just talking about, it's just an absolutely incredible figure. And I don't remember who all did the sculpt work on it, but I know that the paint work on it was all Nikki. It's just pure Nikki.
Really cool.
It's just absolutely amazing. I love that, like, purple and orange armor, all the different grays on the skin. It's just absolutely beautiful.
I completely walked away from Bill showing like, hey, here's this character. I was like, but my character Nin, I'm totally sorry. Like, we'll get back to Eric, who's here.
Oh no, you're good, man. I'm down to talk about all of them because
I love them all, we haven't talked about any yet, so they're all fair game. But we all do have the Sentry in hand.
Go
ahead, Tom.
Did you do the armor too? It's okay.
Yeah. So actually, the only thing that I did not do that came with this guy was, let me pull it out here. I did not do this sword.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone did that sword. I mean, they could have just been like, yeah, it's got a silver blade and brown.
AI did it.
Yeah. But you know, I did a version of, you know, my original concept for this sword here was for it to be like a molten sword. Like, I almost envisioned these Lemurians like living along like a volcano or something and just like dipping their swords in the lava and getting them like molten so they can swing it around. But the prototype that I did was a solid color because the prototype I was sent to paint was solid. I couldn't make it clear, you know, but I painted as if it was kind of clear. And Alex, another one of the painters on the line, made the call, like, what if we had the factory just make it clear? And I absolutely love that idea. It came out great. I think it's a defining factor of this figure is having a weapon that, because none of the other weapons look like this, you know.
Also, I noticed today that this is a good thing, again, that these are flexible. These are not like my son was getting, I was like, whoa, easy. But I was like, oh, wait, this has some give. This is going to be okay to, like, you know, it's not going to snap when I put too much pressure above the guard there. So, yeah, I like that.
It holds shape, though, too. Like, it's not the kind of flexible where it's going to, like, melt and
Yeah,
and sag,
droop,
you know.
droop. Yeah.
I'm gonna share a photo that I took today because I'm doing the Thrace review, and then the next Savage review is gonna be this one for the recorded reviews, and I want to share the thumbnail image that I took, and I think it's cool because it shows the way light can really come off of that sword. So let me share the image screen.
Man, your
Pull that up.
pictures are so pretty. Do
Yeah,
you?
that's amazing.
So you have to take all these and then you have to edit every one of these in order to get into those videos that you do reviews for, right? Like that's a lot of work that's going into your review videos here. No, it just naturally looks this good. This is just this pretty right out the gate.
Well, I mean, I have a bunch of lights that I shine on it, and you know, like I have a DSLR camera that I can manually do this. Like you can see, I have a red light shining on the back wall, and some of that red light is shining on the figure itself. You can see that from the top down, right? And then I have a couple lights in the back two corners aiming forward to light the blades.
Yeah.
And then I have just some, just the regular lights towards the front, just to light the figure itself.
It's so good though. Like the photography you're using into it too is what sets your reviews apart too. Because like I don't mind the raw format of like somebody holding the figure and like pushing up towards the camera and stuff like that too. But like after a while, I really do prefer refined, right? And like when I watched your you just did a Mythic Legions video. I just watched the big Azer split in half demon. I don't know.
Oh yeah, as a Hazer,
yeah. But like I'm actually watching. I was like, man, all these pictures are just phenomenal. Like the fact that you're putting that into it really keeps me captivated to the video. So
I mean, I only take one photo for the thumbnail, and then the video is all video. You know, I tend to have a more zoomed in approach. Than a lot of people, good. And I use the turntable a little bit more than others.
Yep.
So I think it's not a lot of hands. I mean, there is a lot of hands, but like it's not as much as some of the others. Somebody who I try to emulate, who I think is the best in terms of just like production and just lighting and everything.
Is it Eric?
It's Eric. Unparalleled Universe. Oh, okay. Unparalleled Universe. If you want to go see who like I think has the best lighting and just everything just looks so crisp and clean and his is like top notch to me. So if you like kind of my style, I think his is great. He's a little more hands, but he's just got that super clean style.
He's a little more handsy, so watch out. All right, so
yeah. God. Okay. So
hey,
yeah, I guess Eric, what's up?
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be right back. I just got instruction from Nikki that I'm supposed to hit these swords with a black light. So I'm going to go grab them really quick.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Give me just a second.
Do it.
Man, I do not have a black light on hand.
Huh? I have one on hand over there. But
do you really? Why am I not in the black light club?
One of my lights on so actually that as a Hazar figure is the reason why I bought a black light bulb. So I had heard that it was reactive. So I bought a black light bulb, and I have this old desk like arm lamp that's been there that I haven't been using because I upgraded lights. I was like, all right, I'll just put that bulb right in that lamp, and then if I for this review, and then if I ever need it for anything else, for checking random things, because
crime scenes,
like
you never know.
Every once in a while, some random thing just glows under a black light.
Well, your video is what made me realize that my dude had the potential there. I was like, what? So yeah, that's really cool. No, and so like what I know we'll fill the dead air here. I noticed you stripped your armor off yours already. I kept he's back. All right, I'll shut up. Go ahead.
No, keep going. Keep going.
Turn off all your lights. The back sheath. So what's his name? Old Nin Vinny over here. He doesn't have a sheath, but this guy has sheaths out the gate, like on his hips, on his back. I was like, oh, this is great. Yes, so great, dude.
Did you notice they're different? I thought initially they were gonna be the same. Like, so let's say the two that go on his back, right? Mm-hmm. Like the two, I thought they were gonna be the same, but they're actually mirrored. So like these are two separate molds. Like these are mirrored.
Interesting.
Like even the buckle is the other way.
Oh,
Right?
you're
Like,
right.
So there's a little detail there.
Dang.
And I think it's the same thing with the smaller ones. They just glued a different sized peg on there. But yeah, so that's a nice little touch. Like they're not just the same exact piece.
Huh,
twice.
that's cool. All right, what do you have for us, detective?
Yeah, check this out.
Here we go.
Oh, look at that.
The ancient runes were revealed to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to see in the video, but the red lights up like fluorescent, like pink almost.
It's
awesome.
Talk.
I love all the detailings that's put into this line too.
It's like a bright orange.
I'll kill some airtime. So I wanted to ask you, like, maybe it's because I got like a purple light in here too, but this is like pink on the armor here, right? It's got like pink hues on it too.
Kind of, yeah. So I really made an effort to darken that color, and I would say that's the biggest difference that I see from what I sent to what came back.
I like it. I like that it's a different. That's like that. Why am I blanking on my colors here? Palette here, but I like that it's lighter. Like everybody always goes like red and black. I'm like, come on, bro. Like I love the fact it's lighter shades. It's really cool.
I do. I like it too. I think that it reads really well. I think it makes for a cohesive looking figure, but it's, I was going for a metallic red, and you have to kind of mix that. There's really no good metallic reds, and they all look pink. Any metallic red you buy is going to look pink. So I tried to mix my own, and it still kind of had this look. But I added some more red to it, and I don't want to say that like the factory messed it up, because that's not true at all. This looks remarkably exactly like what I sent them. But I made an effort to punch up the red because I kind of figured that people would like it that way. But I do kind of prefer the more pinkish hue to it, and I have heard a few people complain, but I think it's just you like it or you don't like it. But I think it looks great.
Should we shun those people?
Color differences.
I think probably we should. Yeah,
we should. Yes.
So some people have noticed that in the character drawings, in the art, it showed the purple, and even if you go on Big Bad Toy Store, still in like the Savage Crucible site, it still shows the old art, but it's been shown, like the prototypes were shown last year for the Royal Guard, and the prototypes weren't purple. I don't think. I think that what we got matches the prototype, but they just haven't changed. They probably should change the photos on the websites that are selling the figures, because it is different. But yeah, it's a good point.
But even if you didn't get exactly
like, it still looks purple to her.
Okay. It's like it's more of like a pink purple, or it's like a yogurt, right? But like
we're talking about the
this
Royal Guard, the other.
Oh, okay. So, what else is great about Savage Crucible is the fact that like X-Men 97 is out right now, right? And I'm a huge X-Men fan, and like you can pick apart the different costumes and be like, oh, that's not what they wore, and then when they make a figure, like, oh, but they didn't do the gauntlets right, like, so you're constant comparison between literally decades of like variant artists and all this stuff too, but there is none of that with here. Like you cannot look to any other material and be like, oh, but they got this. They said, they didn't get Cyclops' side things right. You can't do that with this, right? So that's the other thing. There's no baggage with a fresh IP line, and it's so refreshing. You know what I mean? Like if somebody was like, well, it's a different shade, I'm like, it's not really going to bother you, because what are you comparing it towards? In the past, right? Like so,
right.
Yeah,
it does make me really happy that you like the color the way it is, because I do too. And like I said, I have heard some people complain about it, and I've just kind of had to say like, I guess it's just not for you, I guess.
That's cool, man.
Like I like the pink too. I think pink is great.
Yeah. I mean, so if you think about it too, like in the past, right? So like the ability to get pigments was very rare. That's why royal was or purple was a royal color, because it was such hard to get those pigments, right? So like, and the red oxidized clay that the Romans started inheriting, I forget what they would use it, but like that became a thing because that clay was only found here, right? So these ideas of like being able to have different pigments in here, this is great. Like it like that's a rare pick. I know this is deep. I didn't get my glasses on here. Good grief. Here we go.
You might as well just leave them on.
I don't know why. But anyway, sorry. Like I love it.
A reason to take them off?
No, there's really not. Yeah, I'm gonna walk to work tomorrow wearing these. I'm like, what in the yeah. So no, I think it's great. And just because it's more of a dark fantasy doesn't mean that you should have something bright to juxtapose like an evil character. Like it's great. I love it. Don't listen to them. I'm sure they'll fall in love with it once they get in their hands too. So
I also think it's a bit exotic, and that's what you want with a serpent race type character.
Absolutely.
You know, like it feels right.
Absolutely.
I also tried to think too, when putting colors together for the armor, like keeping the kind of pop and swap thing in mind. It's like people are going to put this armor on different figures. So looking at the colors of the figures that had already been painted before I painted my character, and trying to think of, you know, what's something different and unique that I think would blend well with other character color profiles and stuff.
God bless you. But like, where is the lizard that's out there being like, I can't wear this armor, it doesn't match my scales? Like you're gonna wear what they get, you know what I mean? Like, sure. Yeah, no, but I get it. You don't want to clash too much in the battlefield, I guess.
Let's talk about let's talk about the construction and the articulation and the movement and everything. And what are your thoughts on all that? How does it feel to you?
It feels great to me. I love the tight knees. Again, I've heard a few people complain about it, but I think that it's wonderful.
I will say that my Kamo knees were way tighter than this. This is moving a lot better than my Kamo was moving. I must have had a bad one, or I think so these joints aren't painted on these knees, but they are on Kamo. So they might just be the difference of making it like tighter on that other figure than
quite possible. Yeah. That does make a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love how seamless the joints are. I love how the arm looks like an arm. It doesn't look like it's cut up at the elbow and all sliced up. Same with the knees too. I mean, it's a really just cohesive aesthetically figure, and all the articulation is very functional, and you know, there's a purpose behind it. I had nothing to do with those choices. So I'm looking at it just objectively as a toy collector, and I think it's pretty impressive. You know, I think it's really great.
So I did the Nin review, and like his left leg was stiff, and I was like, okay, but that's normal. Like I buy NECA, I buy Mythic Legions, I buy Joy Toy. Like sometimes you just gotta give him a little bath, you know what I mean? So a little heated water, and his knees were fine. The G.I. Joe classified pinless figures are really tight too, right? Valaverse had some complaints about like that's just like a thing that you can, as a toy collector, be like, oh, I'm used to the tightness here. I move through it.
Yeah.
I didn't have the ankle problems on Nin that everyone was complaining about. I was like, oh, I didn't have that. So that kind of like flew past me when people started complaining about ankles. I didn't have that issue with my dude. I don't like toe articulation. I've said that even in my video too. Like, it is not my bag. I get if you were a photographer and want superposability, but for us who are playing with them, I'm like, I was done with that with Toy Biz. Like, I don't want, toe or in hand articulation. Like, no thanks, Jazzwares. Like, don't.
Yeah, I'd agree. Definitely hand.
Yeah.
Toe articulation, I feel like is a little bit better than like hand is like just don't do it.
Yeah. Jazzware's doing the fists to this. I'm like, what is this thing? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's very like early 2000s Toy Biz.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying before though, too, about like having to heat a figure too. I think one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that this is how toys are made. Like this is how modern toys are made. This figure doesn't have any pins on it. And part of having a pinless joint is having an insert mold where they put the disc inside the joint. They mold the plastic around it. It's a byproduct of modern figure making, having to heat up your figure. So one thing I hate is when people say, well, you shouldn't have to do that. It's like, well, you should though, because that's how it works.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really not a big deal. I wish more people understood that, heating your figure is just a byproduct of how modern action figures are made. And that's part of it.
I've heard that too. And I was like, well, you're talking about like 5 POA figures and O-rings, right? Like that's what you're comparing to. Like that engineering is what you're comparing to now. It's like, of course you have to do it. And also, like you can complain that they're not as rugged as like a old Star Wars figure that you leave out in the sandbox too. Like yeah, it's probably not, right? Because that's not what it's designed to be. Like it has more refined, has more details, there's more paint application. Like there's so much more you're getting comparatively. You could take the 2 seconds to heat your figure in some warm water. You know what I mean?
The more articulation you demand.
Yes, yes, there's a cost.
Sort of fragility and work on your end, you're gonna end up with, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't like at some point I'll pop an arm out, but I don't really want to right now because I don't like messing with popping arms out on butterfly joints. Apparently, Rob did say that the pin that is on that the swivel, the like butterfly joint pin is metal, so it should be pretty sturdy. But like when you but I would say if you're gonna try to, obviously when you're gonna pop the arm out, I would definitely do a hot water bath.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And when you're doing it, you're gonna want to hold that butterfly joint back in when you pop it out, because you don't want to be yanking a butterfly.
Dislocate his shoulder.
That
would not be good.
I had a Valaverse figure. The butterfly joint, the butterfly part of it came out, and it was like this massive pain in the ass to put back in. I did, but like it sucked. So yeah, that's one of those things. It's like you want to pop arms, but butterfly joints make it tough. Although I don't think this wave for this wave, unless you're going cross lines and you're popping these arms at the Valaverse or whatever, there's no reason to be popping these arms onto one of the other figures. They all arms match their bodies, so it's more about like popping armor.
That was so Nikki did a good video. I think it was an IG tutorial of like going through, like she did the whole, that was pretty good. I didn't know, and this is curiosity, that like, so Nin, like, wait, why am I talking about that figure? Talk about this figure, of course, Dom. That's what we're talking about today, Dom. I just love Nin. So that this armor piece is a whole leg, right? And then when you get the parts, you pop on the naked one. I was like, oh, okay. I had thought it would be an armor piece I slide off and slide on or wrap around or something like that too. Not that it was a whole like deconstruct the figure in order to take the armor off. Do you know why they went with that route as a solid piece instead of like a detachable armor instead?
You know, I don't know.
Okay, it's fine.
That decision was made before I even had touched like a prototype or anything. I'm pretty sure.
I don't even know why you came on the show. That was my one question I had.
Yeah, no. I mean, I would imagine that structurally it's probably it makes for a tighter figure. I mean, obviously, if you have a sleeve on there, it's going to be like
loosey goosey.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the biz word, right? Yeah, okay.
Going to be fighting you, you know.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Like, and it's not a negative. I just was, when I saw Nikki's video, I was like, oh wait, these are whole legs you're swapping in and out. Like, okay.
I do like how solid it feels. I like that these aren't sliding around and stuff. I think it's great.
Yeah, there's usually the trade-off. Either the arm underneath needs to be a little slimmer to make the armor look good, or the armor needs to be a little bulkier.
Too bulky, and then you can't get the arm. Yeah,
it just looks, it just looks like bulky, and this just looks super sleek and clean. And so I think for that reason, I prefer it this way.
Makes sense.
And I just love popping and swapping anyways, so it just fits my style of playing with my toys, really.
So just to like, people should criticize a figure, right? They should, like, don't take that away, like that I'm bad mouthing, like if you're complaining about a line. Like I won't white knight any line at all. If there's problems with it, then obviously there should be addressed, right? Like there shouldn't be anyone in the community who's saying to like, shut up, that's perfect. Like I think the Mythic Legions kind of went through that a little bit with, like, you had everyone who jumped in first, and then as people are jumping in later on, they're like, hey, I noticed, and the Four Horsemen are very receptive. Like, oh, you're right. We're working on those things now, right? So there shouldn't be any like white knighting or champion or blind bias. And that's not what I'm advocating for. All I'm saying is, like, you're right. You should heat things. You should treat toys differently than you did in the past. Like my sons are educated on how to deal with toys now, so we've had less and less breaks, thankfully, over the years. And I'm not complaining about the thing in there too. I think that's a valid point. If you had to slap on armor, your figure's probably not going to be able to bring his arms down as much because, you know, he's got imaginary lat syndrome with an extra thing you had to put on here. So that's a valid point too.
I will say I'm a little surprised that that is the only extent of the range that you get there.
Yeah.
But I did figure out that you can half pop if you half. So I don't know if you can see. I pulled this down.
Yeah.
It'll get a little more range, you know, and it's not going to look good from behind, but it's going to get a little more range for if you want to get into a certain sword pose or whatever. And then if you go bare arms, it's going to get a little more, but not much. I'm a little surprised. It's really only just about 90 degrees and it's double elbows. It's kind of like
it's because of that
for the
that seam that Eric likes so much that covers that bicep up, that little flap that hides that joint, right? So again, like it's the give and take. You hide a joint, but you're limiting the range. And I showed that in my video too, where I was pressing on the arm. It can only go so far. But he can hold the weapon with two hands in front of him. And my God, have I wanted a figure, you know what I mean? Like, yes, just, it's so good.
The butterfly does a lot of work there.
Yeah, so good.
I suppose maybe if the gauntlet were a little bit shorter and it might give some more clearance there, but again, it's, you know, there's going to be an aesthetic trade-off too. So,
Is that a gauntlet or a greave?
I would say
I'm the wrong person.
It's not a gauntlet.
Put the glasses on. There you go.
I always call them gauntlets too, but a gauntlet would have a glove.
It has the glove, right? So what a jerk, Dom.
Yeah,
there you go. Greaves are on the feet. There you go. Yeah, exactly.
So this would be a bracer.
A bracer, right?
Bracer. Yes. That's what I meant. Yeah. Bracer. There you go. See? Okay. All right. See? What a jerk, Dom. Why would you call it the guest?
So that's the difference then. So a gauntlet has a glove.
Yeah. Yes. It's got the glove.
Yes.
All right. I'll remember that from
now
on.
Fisto is wearing a gigantic gauntlet. So
yeah,
that helps you.
Bracer.
Yeah. These are super great. I loved I got this figure and then 2 packs of heads and gear that I'm like, like what a tease, right? Like here's all these heads. Wait for the rest of your order to show up. But these are
so your order was split up, huh?
Oh yeah. I went a little big on this. Someone made a comment in the chat like lizards as your first wave was genius. Absolutely. Like if they had made the humans the first wave, I would have been like, maybe. But lizards and then piranhoids, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm in, man. Like
I cannot wait for those piranhoids.
Yeah, so
awesome.
And there's a lot more room for error on humans. So getting the like, I don't want to say these are easy, but there's probably a little more wiggle room for screw ups on a lizard, you know, like something that's not supposed to be recognizable to the human eye as like yourself kind of thing. Like, so I think that's a smart move to go with these first. And then it's very consistent across. There's one body, you know, there's different armors and different armor pieces, but it's generally like a one figure, a one mold wave in terms of the figure itself.
It's smart.
One body.
Yeah. I am kicking myself though because the slates were cheap and I couldn't pass on a $15 figure. I was like, oh my God, like, no brainer, man. So I think I got like 4 slates. And then I think I only got 2 savages, I think. Because they were a little higher price point. I'm like, I don't know. But so many of the heads match
for the savage.
Yeah, and I'm like,
there's none for the slates. The slates are like just purely for customizing. Like there's none of the other heads are for them. Yeah.
And here's the irony: like I have barely any skills in painting, right? And I don't have time for it because we play with all this stuff. So I may farm out my slates to get painted by somebody, which will increase the cost. Right, but I really want to match because there's so many cool heads. Like I also love that they went half lizard, half dinosaur for the heads too. You know what I mean? Like the style. So I'm like, oh man,
I love that Dilophosaurus looking.
So
it's
cool.
Probably my favorite head in the line.
Yeah, it's great.
Saurians and Lemurians.
Yeah, it's great. I went nuts on wave 1. I got Jaeger from wave 2, and then I went nuts on wave 3. So I'm very excited for the non-humans.
That's my favorite part of the line for sure.
It's so cool.
This was the only wave I went all in on, mostly because it was the first wave, and I thought there might be, you know, that possibility where like all-ins are all bundled already and they're shipping out faster.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, just like as a reviewer, you know, it's always good to be able to give people that look. Like they're already starting to sell out, and I've only reviewed one. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like it would be. Thankfully, I think it's a really good thing that they sent them all out to people, because it gives people a chance before they all sell out to actually like see some reviews and grab them. Big Bad Toy Store is sold out. The slate is sold out, I think, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
They're selling out. So like, yeah,
It's awesome.
It would have been nice to have a few more. You know, it would have been nice to have them in hand like a little faster, but I mean, it was still pretty fast.
Yeah, no, I think, and I made one post on the Facebook group too. I was like, hey, I think everyone's very anxious right now. Like there were so many like, oh, I got my shipping notes, but nothing shipped. I'm like, maybe this is your first Kickstarter, you know, like maybe that's what's going on here. And, or maybe you're worried you did something wrong, right? Yeah.
Posts.
Well, I mean,
like,
I get it. Like they're excited. Like there's a lot of hype, which is great, right? So you build up this hype, but then with hype also comes tension, right? So you're like, you know, people are like, why am I getting mine? What did I do wrong? Right. So I'm like, okay, like I get it. Which is good. You want your fan base to like Feverus, you know what I mean? Like that's good that people are worrying about it. But I think it was a lot of new collectors or new to Kickstarters, which is what that was, which is also great too, that you don't have curmudgeons, you know, too much. You're getting new fans in, which is a great sign too. But yeah, for me, like I order something, because remember they said these are going to come out last year, and I was like, oh, cool. And then they're like, hey, we got to push it back. I'm like, whatever, man. I'm used to this waiting game. I'll see them when I get them. You know what I mean? So I like opened the door to get my Exo Squad toy today, and then I was like, what? A Savage Crucible box? And I like lost my mind. I'm like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. Like, it's great, man. Like, it's got somewhere in your brain, it's got to turn off and just it'll get there, you know?
I wanted to point out that it doesn't seem like it would work, but somebody, I'm not gonna get this in there. Somebody did the someone put this armor on him like all the way, like it was all the full swap, you know. And initially it doesn't seem like that would work. Let me get a little more light over here. But you know what ties it together are his eyes.
Yeah.
Like this armor, it's funny because I was like, that's not gonna work, and then I saw it, and it totally does. So if you like, that's a great swap right there, and that's one that I will probably do in my video.
Yeah, well, in that Como armor too, like it's supposed to have that kind of lava molten look to it, and like when I was conceptualizing this guy, like that was what I was hinging on. You know, it's like there's different lizards, and I figure you know they probably have different attributes depending on where exactly they live. And I was like, well, how, you know, what I kind of thought of was like we were talking Zelda earlier. It's like Death Mountain, you know. Like, what would the lizard look like if it were on Death Mountain? You know, cool. And it's like, so I kind of came up with that idea, and then you know, having the swords be kind of molten, and then I found out about Como's armor later, and I was like, oh, that kind of fits the concept of what I had, you know. But in that way, I think it does make a lot of sense.
That's awesome. I laugh. I'm teasing very lightly here, right? That you guys are matching like the eyes to the armor, like you're going out to like a great date or something. You know what I mean? Like, so we were customizing G.I. Joes like way back in the day. I remember someone had a variant of Dial Tone, but he came with a white beret, and my buddy was swapping the legs. Like, I can't put these boots on because it matched the beret. I was like, what are you talking about right now? Like, I'm in the army. That is not what we do, man. You put on your stuff and you go. Like, they don't care about your complexion or anything, right? And
now we know what the glasses off Dom.
Yeah.
Like. This is what the glasses off Dom looks like.
But I get it. I get it. I'm not like, don't think I'm like toxic shaming or anything like that. Like, I get it. You guys have a very artistic lens. For me, I'm just like, oh, I want this bulky armor on this lizard over here. Like, if it clashes the eyes, I'm not worried about it because I'm looking for photography. I'm looking for like, what is I'm looking for the play aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like the mismatch. But I understand what you're talking about. I'm just lightly teasing here. So
no, I think that's great.
Yeah.
And it's proof that everyone enjoys things in a different way, which is part of the
Exactly,
beauty.
yeah.
So yeah.
I
Yeah.
probably never would have thought to see that color combination, but you're right. My eye probably would have been off. Like if I just seen a picture of it, I was like, oh, why does it seem off? I'm not sure why I don't like that as much. And probably because you're seeing the combinations that I am too ignorant. So, yep.
Can't wait for. Let's check the chat and then we'll wrap it up here.
Sure.
Can't wait for Frazetta's Warrior with ball and chain. I hope production goes fast. I don't know the timelines. I want to say that should be like this summer or maybe fall, something like that. I'm assuming. Not totally sure on the timeline there.
Where's my shipping notice?
Things were delayed a little bit, and things could still be delayed a little bit more.
Sure.
So
Yep.
It's part of it.
I would imagine this time next year it'll all be out. This whole wave will have shipped by then. Got Carlos in the house who also had an awesome review. I think he had the slate, I believe.
Yeah. Carlos is.
Did you notice the a lot of them are like backwards on the box? Like it says Slate Lemurian and it says like Savage Lemurian.
Oh, no. See, there you go again, man. Very analytical. So you're a English teacher, correct?
I am.
Okay, man. I wanted to make so many semicolon jokes today, and just like when to use. You just use them all the time. Just use a semicolon all the time. Yeah, everything. Like, yeah, even possessive, like Dom's just semicolon that S there. It's great. So,
Semicolon's almost like in my head, like
it's the forbidden.
It's like an arrow. It like points to this next thing. That's the semicolon. No, that's the colon. Sorry, the semicolon is more like a heavy comma.
It's the forbidden.
That's how I tell my students.
Yeah.
Semicolon is a heavy comma. Colon is an arrow.
What? I'm sorry. I know you're trying to wrap the show up, but what grade do you teach?
I teach 10th grade.
Oh, God bless you. That's great.
16-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an amazing age. I like. It's crazy how different a 9th grader is and an 11th grader is from a 10th grader. Like you wouldn't think there's a huge difference, but like there is. And 10th grade is like right in a nice middle range of like childhoodness plus like a little more mature. Like there's like this nice mix. They're not too jaded yet. Like juniors are like too cool for school. Freshmen are like children still. But yeah, 10th grade's great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
Between the Frazetta figures, the Savage Crucible, Noble Bear Mythic Wave, it's all very well timed.
Oh,
Sure is.
Lots of barbarians.
Oh, I got so many bears. Oh my God, I got so many bears.
That bear is amazing.
Man, what did you get?
So I think it's 4, but there's also combat creatures coming out, and then there's anthropomorphized battle beast looking space marines. So I got like 2 bears from there, and I can't wait to put my bears riding bears. Like I'm so excited to have bears on bears. Like it's gonna be awesome. So.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're gonna get multiples too, it was wise to do it up front. Like you did.
Yes.
Yeah. I think likely the retail price of that bear is going to be exponentially larger than what the pre-order price was.
It is. It's already there, right? Like
for sure. I didn't pay attention to it, but yes.
What was it, like 85 direct and then like 120?
Yeah.
It was basically the slog the slog price, which was also tough, you know.
Big difference.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good. That actually is when you come on to my show, Bill, that is still a topic I want to be able to address too, is that resale. I thought your comment was excellent. You had a lot of interaction there. I was like, that is a worthy topic to be able to talk about here. So we're just teasing that now, but
what is it? The difference between direct and
no. The fact that how certain collectors are approaching a line with an investment mentality or a resale mentality. And like, that is not isolated Mythic Legions. Like Marvel Legends, I'm big into Marvel Legends, are huge in that. When they re-release a Build-A-Figure, people go nuts, right? I'm just like, well, what are you going crazy for here, right? This is great that new people can get this. So I thought your comment was, I was like, that is something worth deep diving and talking about.
You know what that comment was? It was people. Oh, what the heck was it? Do you remember which particular? It was about Otho, right?
Otho,
it was about Otho. And it was about how the like people, they want it
Mhm.
now. But once it's released, they're not going to really want it anymore.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
they
Yes.
want it because it's rare. Like the
Right.
demand is there because it's rare. And
Right.
once it's everywhere and easy to get by everyone,
Yeah,
the
you
demand
devalue
will
it.
dry up. And
Yeah.
that's what keeps happening with these All-Stars waves. And yeah, like that was that comment, I think.
No, it was good. So we'll save that
Yeah.
for later on. It ties to this article that came out years ago where it's like 1/3 of Americans think they will get rich selling weed, right? If it becomes legalized. And I was
Right.
like, what? But that means 1/3 of Americans don't have good sense and how economics work. Like if it's legal and everyone can get it, you're not going to be, same kind of
If
idea.
you're smoking
So
a lot of weed, it makes your judgment cloudy anyways.
yeah. So like, I was like, this is not good economic sense. But anyway, sorry, you were wrapping up the show and I started asking about teaching and everything else. So.
And let me just get here. So Carlos, Bill, I was asking Nikki about the Barbarian Wave accessories packs because I don't know what figure will fit color-wise with the extra heads and hands because I believe the human figures are different. Okay.
Like their complexion, right? Like the human complexion, not like the armor. And...
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But with this wave, they have all of the like the pre-order links. Like it shows the image, and then it shows you which head is in which character pack goes with this. Like so, maybe they'll do that as well for the Barbarian Wave.
It's maybe something to work on too. I mean, if it's a concern that people have, can work on it so that it's more defined by the time, the solicitations for that start popping up.
Right. Which I think the direct pre-orders will be somewhat soon because they
should be
do that after this ships, and this is shipping now. So
he is pretty basic. So I do have Otho, and he said it's just a standard. His hair is really cool, and like
it's
his
the
face.
Head sculpt. The head sculpt
it's great.
Is unique.
I also love
that's the one piece.
Yeah.
All right. I think we.
Do we win?
We're good to go.
We won.
What's that?
I think we won. We won. All right, great.
Hey guys, congrats.
Hey, good job. Good job on all of us, really. I feel like I was part of the Savage Crucible team too, actually.
So Dom, clearly you're not live tonight on your channel.
No.
When's your next thing? What do you got next?
Oh man, what do I have next? I think we're doing a show next week. Here's the deal. I'm trying to buy a house. I'm trying to go on vacation to Italy. It's my son's birthday as well as Mother's Day this Sunday. Italy. My job is off its rockers. So like, that's why I felt so bad. I was like, I'm sorry. My schedule is not normally this insane. My head is everywhere right now. So we are having a show next Thursday. We're doing Road to Joe Fest. We're trying to pull people that we're going to be able to meet there, right? Or like people who are showing off cool stuff, like a giant Cobra airship that's bigger than my freaking car. Like this guy made a huge thing. So we're trying to pull those things in, just kind of, build up what our expectations are to be able to go there.
When is Joe Fest? What's the date on that?
And the end of June, and it's in Augusta, Georgia. And actually the Four Horsemen are going to be there this time, oddly enough, too. So that's kind of interesting. So and I'm going to be playing games there. That's kind of the other thing we've been doing too, is on the sidelines. Like I've had our patrons and our channel members playing the game, and then recently just a live show, which like no one really, I don't really like watching D&D streamed either, but like it was fun to be able to actually see players playing the game, and it's on the channel right now too. But yeah, other than that, making some more battle videos and just trying to survive the soccer season with my youngest son, and then running with my oldest. So
awesome. And the enablers, how's the enablers going? You got a new topic for next week yet? Or
no. I should probably figure that out. Wyatt's the one that kind of comes up with all that stuff, so we'll bug him here about it soon. But
you guys record Sunday and release Monday, is that right? Or what is your
we usually record Sunday and then we release not the following Monday, but the Monday after.
Okay.
So that gives Wyatt a week to
Have you already recorded the next one?
No.
That hasn't released yet?
No. Yeah.
Oh, you have.
Technically we're supposed to record it Sunday, which is Mother's Day. So we're either going to record with not everybody, or we're going to find some way around it. This is kind of an extenuating circumstance, but the scheduling has gone pretty smoothly so far, and it's been really fun. I kind of forget that it's like a thing. I feel like I'm just making an effort to like get in a call with my friends and talk to them once every 2 weeks. And then like I start remembering like, oh, people listened to that.
Yes.
And people remember things. And like, it's interesting kind of transitioning into this world of like, I have a podcast now. But yeah, it's been great. And those guys are genuinely like my best friends in the world. So it's just so fun to do it with them.
We got a super sticker.
Hey, good job.
I don't know what it looks like because I'm in StreamYard, so I'm going over here. Okay, so it's like a little fox saying hiya. Thank you, Carlos, for the $5 super sticker. I think that's the first super sticker we've had.
Oh, that's awesome.
I remember seeing a super sticker. Super chats, yes, not super stickers.
And I got to be here to see it.
20.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, somewhere around there. Yep.
All right.
Does Joe Fest have anything to do with Toylanta?
I'm sure a lot of the same people drift over that way, but no, I'm actually from Georgia. You can tell by my heavy Southern accent. And so like, I've never been able, cause I'm in the military, I've never been able to go to Toylanta. So like the fact that, you know, now Augusta is like 7 hours away. I'm just like, I'm going, like it's, so.
That's cool.
Yeah. Love it.
And if you want to know about the critical high five, watch or listen to last week's Enablers episode, which is a great episode. You guys go through your character building exercise there, which is a lot of fun.
It'll be a hard one to top for sure. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I told that joke or that story, and I think it's hilarious, but after I told it, I immediately was like, why did I just tell this story? But apparently someone liked it. I mean, they're talking about it now, so yeah.
Well, hey, I was able to like find out that you've also had a character that was a Minotaur in your D&D past. So
that is part of my history. Yeah.
And then for me, so I'm working on some reviews. I've got Thrace on the table now, and then the next one up will be the Sentry, and of course we'll be back on our regular week next week,
nice.
And then continuing the every other week thing. I don't want to get off weeks because then we'll just be stepping on the Legion's ladies' toes. So trying to keep it like next week going. But yeah, so
you got another sticker there, buddy. You got another super sticker.
Oh, we did? Oh,
yeah, you got another one from Rob there.
Rob with the super sticker? Now I don't know what it is. I hate seeing. Okay, so this one is it looks like a game controller. Oh, it says critical hit.
Nice.
Nice.
So
Love
like
it.
for the people who are in YouTube, when we're in StreamYard, we can't see what these things are. So like when you put like an emoji or something, like we don't always see what it is. But yeah, so I have to go over to YouTube to see that it's a critical hit, and
that's awesome.
Like a game controller of some sort. But all right, thank you for catching that because I was just about to sign us off.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for coming and watching, and thanks for the super stickers, Rob and Carlos. And until next time, may the force be with you.
Follow me into the door.